You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about Minnesota. So, Lauren?
Yes, Kenzie?
Let's get scary.
Minnesooooota.
Minnesota.
A podcast I listen to is based out of Minnesota. So I've perfected my Minnesotan accent.
Minnesota. That's the only thing I can say that sounds like they're from Minnesota. There's
and
this girl
I'm sure we'll hear it multiple times.
There's this
tonight.
girl on TikTok who I think she started off like impersonating her mom. But it's like a very Midwest accent.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's so good at it. It's so funny.
I feel like if you have years of practice.
Yeah, I mean, if you're mom.
Right. That's all you're hearing, so you're probably pretty good at it.
Yeah. Minnesota. It's like kind of Canadian, but not quite.
Yeah.
It's like the knockoff
Well, it's like
Canadian.
up in Canada area.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We used to, my dad, because we have family in Wisconsin and Michigan and upstate New York. So we would do this like circuit.
Oh, God.
Where we would go and visit my cousins, or I don't know what the order was, but whatever way, we would cut through Canada instead of going around.
Oh.
And come back in and then go to like Wisconsin, Michigan, and all that. Well, apparently, when I was a wee lad.
A wee lad.
My dad said that they had stopped him because he's a grown man with no wife, no nothing, and a small child.
I mean, good on them.
Right. I felt bad because I'm like, damn, like, you are my dad.
Right.
And so they, I guess, couldn't get a hold of my mom. I think she might have been on her honeymoon at the time. I'm not really sure. I don't even know how old I was.
A wee lad.
But they said that they eventually just like let him go anyway because I was like messing with him and climbing all over him and, you know, doing what a kid does to their dad.
Right.
And so it worked out and it was fine. But whenever my dad tells that story, there's like a little hint of irritation that my mom didn't answer the phone. I'm like, I wonder how long we actually waited there.
Right. I wonder how that conversation was when you guys got back in the States.
Yeah.
Like, I was with your daughter and you didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, your daughter. But yeah, so there you go. That's my family trip. No, that's not the story I wanted to tell you.
Oh, what? Yeah, what was the story?
Okay, so there are three possibilities. One.
Why am I nervous to hear this?
Because one, there's a mouse in my apartment.
Oh, which we are recording in today because Joe's family is in town, so we have been kicked out of the house, and we are now here. Well, not kicked. We can't record there; it's too loud.
Right.
So we're here.
Right. And I mean, we're not in a fort this time.
Yes, we realized that didn't work.
Yeah, we have a much easier setup just in my bedroom,
which took us like 5 minutes as opposed to 5 hours. But you know,
yeah. So there might be a mouse.
Okay.
There might be a ghost of a mouse.
Okay.
Or I might have something wrong with me and I'm going crazy and I'm seeing things.
Why?
Okay. So when I have the light on out there, but it's not like super, like it's not both lights, it's just one of them.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as bright.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sitting here, or even when I'm now sitting out on the couch.
Okay.
Out of the corner of my eye, there's no direct vision of this. Looks like a little thing goes from the kitchen to the last time the mouse had actually run out, and I thought I was seeing things, but no, it turned out to be a mouse.
Turned out to be real, yeah.
Right. So I saw it, and I remember I was laying in bed, I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And I like stared for a really long time. Didn't see anything, didn't hear anything. It's like, okay. Saw it again, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, and last time I actually had a mouse, there was like droppings in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, it was not shocking to me. My kitchen's been clean.
Right.
No, nothing.
Right.
No hints, no weird noises, no nothing.
Maybe that's what knocked the spice off your counter the other day.
So, I was sitting out there yesterday, and I was writing up my story. So, I was a little nervous, a little dark. And again, thing. And I was like, no, it's fine. So I keep going. And then I really thought I saw it. And I was like, oh my God. Ow, fuck.
We're not used to being in a room that has the walls in those areas. So when you see it, does it run from like the left to the right and then the right to the left? Or is it always like left to the right, left to the right?
It's the same, like from my kitchen to where my table is, like where that bookshelf is. But
see, that's what's weird, because then how is it getting back?
Okay, see, that exactly.
Yeah.
And last night, though, the reason it freaked me out is because I really thought I saw it. And when I got startled, I could have sworn something turned back around to go back the way it came, like a scared mouse would.
Yeah.
And so I went and turned on both lights. So it was really, really bright. And I like tiptoed over and I was looking around the corner. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
So that's what leads me to the conclusion. I don't think I have a mouse because they plugged up all the holes so that I would not get another mouse.
Maybe you just keep having this, like, I had a mouse in here. Now it's never going to go away.
Right. But I'm also like, it looks like something crosses the fucking floor.
Right. Or it's the ghost of the mouse that died in here.
That's also that was my first thought, honestly.
And that's the most fun thought. Honest, in my opinion.
Preferred, because at least it's not going to like.
It's better than it being a real mouse, and it's better than you going crazy.
Yes, so, exactly. Right.
So literally, win-win.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's like Albert, like trying to like become manifested.
Oh.
Yeah. Because immediately I thought of Albert. I was like, oh my God, Albert's real.
Or maybe it's Albert's pet.
Well, we're going to have a talk because I don't do mice.
Yeah. See, I would say you should get a cat, and then that way you could know if you have a mouse in here. But then I wouldn't be able to come over because cat.
My mom offered me a cat the other day.
Why'd you say no?
I don't want a cat.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want a cat either. I think of that all the time. Like, if I lived alone, I would want a pet, but a dog's too much to do alone. But I wouldn't want a cat. And I was like, what pet would I have?
Dog's not so bad alone. I mean, yeah, it's a little, and a cat would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
If I were to go, but I'm also like, I'm going to be gone for a month.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you get back.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I can just be gone.
Go for a month. Yeah. Well, I mean, even though I would die, I would come take care of your cat.
Yeah, I would not ask you to do that.
Oh.
Well, and when I was talking about, she was like, why? Like, he's like a cat who's like a dog. And I'm like, but he's a cat.
Yeah, he's still a cat.
I don't have a space for little Brax. Not a hidden place.
No, you don't at all.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, I don't know a lot of people who have and or like cats.
If you're a cat lover, like, more power to you.
Right. And if you're
not
interested in a cat,
right,
then I know someone that could give you one.
Yeah, just message us.
I mean, I don't know how it would be very complicated because I don't even have direct contact through my mom. And
so you'll talk to Mackenzie's mom.
No, you talk to me, who will talk to her mom, who will talk to Danny, who will then come back and you know what? I don't know how that's going to work.
No.
Maybe I don't have the connection. Don't ask me about a cat.
Yeah.
I take it all back. All right. But anyway, so I have a ghost that's a mouse. So now I have Albert and a ghost mouse.
What do you want to name the ghost mouse?
I
was thinking you should name your mouse Stuart.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I also thought of Stuart.
Maybe because Stuart Little.
I like Stuart, but also so I could call him Stu.
Yeah.
Because I like that. I think that's a fun name.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go with Stuart
and Albert.
Or Stu and Al.
No. I like it.
Someone who has a medical degree is listening to me at these talks and is like, she might want to be checked out by a psychiatrist.
Right. Maybe our therapy isn't working that well.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's talk about Minnesota.
Starting to see things.
All right, Minnesota. Oh, real quick, it was funny. I was walking at work yesterday, and I had my water bottle because I bring it everywhere, and we had a meeting. So I was like, I'm going to want my water bottle. Well, at some point, it just slipped from my hands, and it crashed on the floor. Loudest bang ever. Bang. Everyone in the hall jumped. Everyone started yelling at me, and I was like, I'm sorry. And then today I had my water bottle and I'm like clutching it. And people are like, yeah, Lauren, you hold your water bottle. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Everyone knows that I'm coming down the hallway, especially when I first come in, because I'm always holding all my shit in my hands. And so my keys are always banging against my water bottle.
My badge bangs up against my water bottle. And it's so annoying.
Everyone knows that it's me because either one, they hear heels.
Yes.
Or two, I have, I don't know, something clangs on my badge.
But that's Mackenzie. Okay.
Minnesota.
People have lived in Minnesota for at least 11,000 years.
I kind of talk about that a little bit.
Oh, Minnesota has 11,842 lakes.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess I might need to change what I said. Keep going.
Okay.
It'll make sense in a moment.
As opposed to duck, duck, goose, those in Minnesota play duck, duck, gray duck. So Joe and I, when we were coming back from some trip, we have this trivia podcast we really like to listen to.
Oh, fun.
And one of the questions was, what do they call duck, duck, goose in Minnesota? And Joe immediately goes, duck, duck, moose. And he was so confident. And I looked at him, I said, that's probably not it. It was not. It was duck, duck, gray goose. Or duck, duck, gray duck. Yeah.
Not great. Why not?
Why
gray duck?
So that you're different. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not in Minnesota. There is such a thing as an ice skating bike with an ice skating blade on the front and a wheel on the back with pedals and everything. So you are biking on the ice.
I can barely walk on the ice.
No, but it's like a bike with
I haven't ridden,
I guess it would be a wheel in the back. So yeah.
I haven't ridden a bike in easily a decade.
Oh my gosh, when Nora used to live up in Pittsburgh, we went to go visit her and we did like a bike ride. We just like got bikes and rode around the city. Oh my God. It had been years since I had been on a bike and I was like, I'm going to die. And at one point you go down this little hill and you have to turn immediately or you go into the water. And I'm like, this is where we all go downhill. Downhill.
So speaking of downhill, when I was younger, when we would ride bikes around the neighborhood, this may not come as a surprise to anybody, but I was just as scared of everything as a child as I am as an adult.
Yes, not surprising at all.
Yeah. So I was always afraid of going fast. I'm still very afraid to go fast. And so there was this one hill. The smarter move was to let yourself ride down the hill because it gave you a good amount of momentum.
Oh, yeah.
To get back up the other side.
Yeah. But
it was steep. And so I would always go really, really slow, like hit my brakes and just like creep down until I got to a point where I felt safe enough to be like, shoot.
In 1888, some residents from St. Paul built an ice palace for the St. Paul Winter Carnival. It used 20,000 blocks of ice and was 106 feet tall. At the time, it was considered one of the largest buildings in the world. 1888, but still. The Mall of America is in this state. It is equivalent to the size of 84 football fields.
I've been there.
Was it big?
Yeah.
Was it cool?
Well, okay. So when we went there, I was like, I really only want to go for the sheer size.
Right, to see it.
And like, especially then too, malls were still like a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's the same stores. Like, yeah, it's really fucking big.
Wasn't there like a roller coaster inside?
Yeah, so that's pretty much why I wanted to go.
Oh, yes.
So that's why we went.
Oh.
And I went on that, and that was sick.
Yeah, that's cool.
But like outside of that, yes, it's really big.
Yeah.
But it's all the same stores that you would find.
I assume, yeah.
Yeah. So.
The largest ball of twine made by one person is in Darwin. Francis A. Johnson started this ball of twine in 1950. He would work on it for 4 hours a day until 1979 when the ball weighed 17,400 pounds or 7,900 kilograms.
How do you make twine and a ball of it?
I don't know. I guess just getting twine and just wrapping it. So you would have to buy a lot of twine. 4 hours a day, that's like commitment.
That's,
The first zombie pub crawl took place in Minneapolis. Also, shout out to Minneapolis. It's one of the cities that listens to us the most.
Hell yeah!
Oh, yeah. Minnesota is home to the Devil's Kettle. Water will literally disappear into the ground. So far, it's unknown where the water actually goes. A man named Val Johnson was attacked by a UFO on August 26, 1979.
By a UFO?
Attacked.
Not abducted.
Nope, attacked.
Attacked.
Johnson was a Marshall County Sheriff's deputy, and he was working out on State Highway 20. A ball of light suddenly appeared in front of him, and Johnson drove his cruiser closer to investigate. Suddenly, the ball of light was inside of the car and started attacking him.
Oh my God.
He said the light was hitting him like, quote, a 200-pound pillow.
Oh my God.
The next thing he knew, half an hour later, he was waking up in a ditch. So he had burns around his eyes, and his watch and dashboard clock had slowed by 14 minutes. His windshield and headlights were smashed, and his car antenna was bent. This became one of the most well-known UFO encounters in Minnesota. Wendigos are popular in Minnesota.
I saw that, but then I remembered you did
Listen to one episode I did where you can learn more about them and hear the scary amount of times that I say it, and then Joe had his creepy encounter. That was the time when he went outside after he recorded the episode with me, and he heard a little kid's voice. Like, he walked out of our house, and he heard someone say, hello. And, like, you know how our stairs are, so you can't see when you go around that turn. So he went around the turn, like, freaked out. And it was, like, 10 o'clock at night. There should not have been children.
No.
Yeah. He, like, came back in. He's like, I'm going to go out the other door. And he, like, went out the other way. He's like, I'm scared. The Mars Bar Company began in Minneapolis in 1920 and released the Milky Way Bar in 1932. At the time, it went by the name Morrow Bar. Bob Dylan was born in Duluth. F. Scott Fitzgerald was born in St. Paul. Jessica Lange and Chris Pratt were born in Minnesota.
What?
Jessica Lange and Chris Pratt were born in Minnesota.
Oh, it's just everybody else you said a town or county or like.
Yeah, that one didn't say. There is some website where it will say like this specific person was born in this specific place, and others are just like, we claim this person as a state. So yeah.
Okay.
So that was one of the states.
Well, there you go.
All right, Mackenzie. So what are you telling us?
I am telling you the tale of Great Cloud Island.
Great Cloud?
Gray Cloud.
Ah.
Yes. So my opening line, I feel like, doesn't actually fit anymore because of how many lakes this place has. But I started off with, when people think of Minnesota, they typically don't think of island life. They mostly imagine a snowy tundra. At least that is what I imagine, which I guess they think of lakes.
Well, they could be frozen lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess there's a lot more water than I thought there was in Minnesota. Anyway, so now thanks to me, you will think of an island.
Oh, yes.
Great Cloud Island.
Oh.
This tiny township spans a total of 3.9 square miles or 10 kilometers in Washington County, Minnesota. 3.1 of those miles is land and 0.7 is water. And when you look at the map of the area, I wouldn't really consider it a true island because it looks like there's land touching land.
Oh.
But we'll get more on that later of what it really is.
Okay.
So it sits between Moores Lake and the Mississippi River. And between the early 1900s to 1990, the water levels rose. And so the island went from 3,800 acres to 2,000 acres.
Wow.
It's tiny.
Yeah. You have some noisy neighbors.
It's really only like right there.
Yeah.
You can also hear when they flush.
No.
Yeah. Or like take a shower.
Well, we greatly apologize if there are any random little bumps, unless it's Albert or the mouse.
You know, I always assumed it was my neighbors. It could be.
It could be. And being like, I'm giving you so many freaking signs right now.
Like, bitch, pay attention. So the island has no schools, churches, bars, library, police station, or firehouse.
Wow.
However, it does have a quarry. That. And add another word to the list.
Right.
And according to the 2010 census, there are 307 people, 117 households, and 76 families in the township.
Wow.
So why is this island a spooky one? Well, I don't really know. It may not even legitimately be haunted. And it could purely be local legend, urban local legend. Because, that's what we do.
Right.
So many have reported strange experiences, and others, mostly residents, say that it is all a myth. And I will let you decide if you believe that Great Cloud Island is haunted with strange spirits.
Okay.
So a little history. Regardless of the validity to its hauntedness, Great Cloud has some really cool history if you are a history buff.
As you are.
I know I was. So Native Americans have settled this area for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
The island actually was an important place for woodland mound builders. So as I was looking this up, because I was like, what is this?
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. I thought the woodland Native Americans lived by us.
Oh, I didn't know that was a Native American tribe.
Well, not like they weren't called that, but it was like, I remember when we were learning about it, you had like the Great Plains, which was like the Sioux.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had like the woodlands, which was like the Iroquois.
Bringing us back to 3rd grade.
Yeah, 4th.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
4th grade. Virginia history.
Jamestown.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was looking up the mound builders, and when I tell you these things are old, they are freaking old.
Yeah.
And they even have found mounds recently dating back what they think to almost the hunter-gatherer time. So this is like they called it pre-Columbian, like, all that kind of good stuff. So gonna give you a little history. Some sources said it was between 100 BCE and 600 BCE, which if you remember or don't, when you're going from BC, the smaller the number, the older it is. They count backwards.
So the bigger the number, the older it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said the smaller the number, the older it is.
Or no,
Yeah, the bigger the number, so 600 BCE
right,
is older than 100 BCE.
Yeah, but it doesn't count up like we do. They count backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said the smaller number, the older they are.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Sorry. Yes. Okay.
We do this a lot. We both argue the same side of the argument.
The important thing is that we finally come to figure out that we, once again, are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was something called the Mississippian culture. Oh. Apparently it was huge. And it was, these mounds were supposedly for very different things depending on the culture. There's a well-known one in Ohio, and it's shaped like a serpent.
Oh.
I think it's called the Serpent Mound or the Great Serpent, something like that. It's really cool.
Cool.
So some are like really big and really well-known like places. Like they have them here. They have them in Louisiana. They got them, mostly like this side of the United States.
Yeah.
So these mounds, like I said, can date back from maybe about 1000 BCE up until 1800.
Wow.
AD.
Right.
Yeah.
So like almost 3,000 years.
Right. 5,000. That's what they said. 5,000 years they've been doing this.
Wow. And my math was wrong. Sorry.
Guess who ruined it?
The colonies.
Yes.
Yeah. The white man.
Hence why 1800.
Yep. Yeah.
And a lot of it, what I read too, was that they were destroyed, whether accidentally or on purpose.
Of course.
And then even once they were starting to be discovered because a lot of them are burial sites.
Yeah.
And some people would again go to destroy them so they wouldn't lose their land.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, not surprisingly, but many of the mounds had been destroyed by settlers claiming the land. So Great Cloud Island is apparently the largest population of mounds in Washington County. And according to the Washington County Historical Society, the only known Native American village in the county was on Great Cloud Island. I got Washington. Oh, yeah, no, that looks right.
Yeah. Okay.
They gave me like a little, it means dwellers of the Spirit Lake.
Oh, I love that.
So thankfully, I only got to say this one time. So around the 1830s, 40 families of the Midawakaton tribe, led by Medicine Bottle, moved from South St. Paul area to the northwestern part of Gray Island. When the Dakota were forced to cede their lands east of the Mississippi in 1837, it caused many Dakota villages to be moved. In 1838, Medicine Bottle had moved its people to Pine Bend in Dakota County. The houses were then taken over by families of fur trader Hazen Moores, which is the lake guy.
Okay.
Or river, whatever. And his son-in-law, Andrew Robertson. So Hazen Moyers was married to a woman named Margaret, and Robinson had decided to name the island after his mother-in-law's Dakota name, Great Cloud Woman.
Oh.
Many families and businesses came and went from the island. In 1846, the Great Cloud Lime Kiln was built to burn limestone rock, which produces quicklime and is used for mortar, plaster, and fertilizer. And this building is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Nice.
So Great Cloud is separated from the mainland by a small channel.
Oh, okay.
So that's what makes it an island.
Right.
But by 1846, settlers had already developed a way to cross the channel with wagons hauling wheat from the island to Afton for milling.
Naturally, yes.
Yeah. And by 1946, there was a steel bridge built at the, quote, Old Country Road crossing. Not 100% sure, but it kind of sounds like there's like one road in and one road out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's such a small island, probably.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So when Minnesota became a state in 1859, the island was included in the Newport Township along with St. Paul Park and Newport. By the 1960s, Newport and St. Paul Park became cities, and the rest of Newport Township was named to Gray Cloud Township. The island contains a cemetery, Great Cloud Island Cemetery.
No, they're really original with these names.
Right. And that is rumored to have many paranormal activities. The earliest grave supposedly belongs to a baby named McCoy that dates back to 1873.
Oh.
So it is important to note that the local people who still live in the area do not all love strangers coming into their town to go ghost hunting.
Yeah.
The cemetery is closed and locked to visitors after sunset, and many of the comments that I am sharing that have been left on these blogs are from unknowns and anonymouses.
Because they don't want to get caught.
Right. So some claim to be residents who are either saying it's all bullshit or sharing their own experiences. So while I'll let you draw your own conclusions based on the information I share, we do not condone or support trespassing on private property.
Right.
Just so, you know, one person did comment on a blog post in June of 2012 saying, quote, "Although this site caught my interest, it was not worth the trip. Locals are on top of anyone being in the area that does not belong there. They actively call for police assistance for vehicles parked on the roadway and off-road sites. Our large group each received misdemeanor citations for parking on the roadway,
Whoa,
entering the area of the cemetery, and even a few curfew citations. For all our trouble, we didn't even get to experience any of the sites."
Dang, they're like not playing around.
So don't say we didn't warn you.
And also, if you only have 76 residents or 76 families,
Yeah.
then it's like
300 people live there.
right, you're going to know everyone. Like we could see everyone in our school and know if someone wasn't there.
Graduating class was 350 people.
Right. Right. And we knew like everyone's face pretty much.
Right,
So if there was someone from another school there,
You're
would be
definitely
like,
not, yeah, they're going to stick
"Who
out like a
are
sore
you?"
thumb.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For sure. So like any good ghost story, this one has its well-known stories that are shared from site to site, video to video, and now podcast to podcast. So I will, of course, share the OGs of the bunch, but I will also sprinkle some random experiences that you will only read about in one or two places.
Ooh.
So first and foremost, the island is said to be the most haunted place in Minnesota.
Of course it is.
Right. The most well-known story being the sighting of the Green Lantern. Some believe that it is a former chief that wanders a cemetery carrying a green lantern. Some have said that no one carries the Green Lantern. And
maybe Ryan Reynolds.
I thought the same thing. And that green orb floats through the cemetery, the woods, and even along local roads. Many believe that the island is inhabited by spirits of the Native Americans who are buried in the burial mound. Some people say that when there is a full moon, they can hear the sounds of drums beating, and some have heard the sounds of coyotes howling at the moon, and others have claimed to see apparitions of coyotes.
Wow.
Another popular story on the island is people saying they have been chased by a white truck who then mysteriously vanishes. Some say it appears and vanishes without a trace, and others say the truck has no driver. Many have encountered the truck and swear it is not made up. One person left a comment dated in August of 2012. Quote, "I went to Great Cloud Island 2 days ago. We were followed by a white SUV-looking vehicle for over 10 minutes. They were riding our ass, and being the scared teenagers we are, we got the fuck out of there. So to be now reading this is crazy." Great grammar. "We were chased out by the white truck, and it was dark. There probably was a driver, but I didn't see them." Another person said, in July of 2015, "I went here before. I'm sure that it is a lovely home for those who live here, but after dark, it's quite scary for those who are not familiar with the area. On Pioneer Road, my friends and I turned around because we didn't want to be trespassing. When we looked back, the road was glowing.
Oh.
It was probably some security light, but we honestly saw no lamppost or anything of that sort. We decided to continue for a bit on the road over, then proceeded to leave. On the way out, we were indeed followed by a white truck. It could have easily been a fellow resident or just a coincidence, but it was also in the middle of the week. That's not a common time for people to tour the place, so I didn't see why a human would waste their time waiting for a person to follow. P.S. To the resident that lived here, I understand that people who go on your property deserve to be yelled at, but just leave the harmless, non-trespassing ones alone. They're just being curious humans."
But you're still trespassing.
Right.
And a place that people don't want you to be trespassing.
That's what I said.
You know, it's like fine if you're just non-violent. It's like, but you're still trespassing.
So the next anonymous user was very adamant that all the stories are true, especially of the white truck. And they said in April of 2017, "Scary shit absolutely happens here. I haven't been here in about 5 years, but my friends and I visited on at least 6 to 7 different occasions.
Wow.
We were followed by the white truck, and everything people are saying is true. There appeared to be nobody driving the truck and tailgates us extremely closely at high speeds with its high beams on. We also saw what appeared to be phantom coyotes, and they were moving at incredible speeds, 25 to 30 miles an hour, I'd estimate.
Wow.
We could see their bodies, but we couldn't see their legs. It was almost like they were floating above the ground. Not all of the scary incidents that happen are spiritual, however. A man came out when we were in the graveyard and shined a high beam flashlight towards us, but couldn't see us as we laid down on the ground to hide. He took an axe and hit our car and shattered our windshield.
Oh my God.
What? I didn't read that. I just saw this comment. I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And
Yeah.
threw it in there. Once he was gone, we got out as quick as we could and called the police, and they told us, you're trespassing. You shouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
If I was you reading this post, I'd completely think this write-up is BS. I assure you it's not. This place was scary as hell. For some reason, we kept going back, though. Experience at your own risk.
So very ominous. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Ominous, anonymous. Another popular legend takes place in the Gray Cloud Cemetery. In the cemetery, there are a row of 12 tombstones that belong to a group of nuns. Many say that when you walk by them, you can count 12 tombstones. But if you turn around and try to count them again, there won't be 12 a second time.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be 13 or will there be 11?
I think there's less.
Oh.
Yeah. A group of people had traveled to the cemetery to see if this legend was true, and a mother had taken her son in the group, and she watched her son count the headstones. The mother said that she saw a ghostly figure of a young boy who was falling behind her son. Both the mother and son left in a panic.
Ugh.
Some people have claimed to hear a woman's screams, and others have said to hear disembodied voices. Some ghost hunters have said they saw a man wearing a red flannel and an orange hat, smoking and carrying a rifle. According to reports, this man is translucent.
Oh, okay. So not a real man, translucent man.
Right, which is why it freaks people out.
Right.
One woman said that when she saw the man in the red flannel, he didn't say anything to her, but just stared at her. She left immediately and said that the man reappeared behind her on the road. And every time she looked in her rearview mirror, she could see the man in her back seat.
Oh, no. Nope.
I knew you'd like that one.
I hate that so much. Like when I'm driving down dark roads at night, you can't not look in your rearview mirror.
You have to drive home.
And it always takes me down, to get here, it takes me down, the big roads and everything. But to get home, it's go through these little neighborhoods and down these little roads. And I'm like, okay.
Now you know how I feel when you leave your house every fucking day. Or week.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah. One group of friends who had tried to encounter the red flannel man but were unsuccessful said that they heard the sound of a young girl whispering from the side of the road, "Don't come back."
Oh, no. I'd say whatever you want. I will not come back.
You're right. I'm out of here.
Oh, nope.
There have been some claims that when people tried to drive into the cemetery, their car stopped working. One person was so terrified from the screams and the overall being creeped out that they had managed to push their car back out of the gates. And once they were through the gates, the car immediately started working again.
Gross.
So another comment that an anonymous person left on October 2nd, 2014, had this story to share about their older brother and his friends. I lived in Cottage Grove as a kid, and I've never been there, but my brother and his friends went once back in the 70s. They drove through the gates and the car had stalled, just quit. My brother and his friend got out and tried to figure out what was wrong with the car. Their dates stayed in the car, and all of a sudden, the girl started screaming at them. They look up and they see the green light coming at them, just floating. They slammed the hood down and pushed the car back through the gates and then tried the car, and it started. All four tell the same story, even today. When you ask them, they all look white and swear it's all true, and I believe them because I believe stuff like this.
Ooh.
I say leave the dead in peace. Also, if I lived around there, I wouldn't want some people I didn't know snooping around.
Right, I wouldn't either.
Right.
Very valid that the island people, the people on the island, try to keep them off.
Then they finish it off with, never heard of the white pickup. That's a good one. And another person who's anonymous commented on this comment. In August of 2013, saying, I really like this comment. This was fun. I believe this is from my sister who was there. And that's exactly what happened. An interesting consequence is this experience has reinforced my belief in the hereafter or aliens. Also, there was no white pickup. Or if so, I was running it. I was out running it. What?
What?
Oh, out running.
At the exact same time, you're like, wait, yep.
Ay.
That wavelength, man.
I also want to add that the version of the story of the ghost that I heard doesn't involve a Native American. I was told a railroad signalman got into a fight and died over a woman in the early part of the 1900s from the local folks of St. Paul Park at the time.
Yeah.
The blog Midwestern Ghost Huntings said that it is rumored a witch is buried on the island. Her grave is the only spot where grass doesn't grow, only weeds. Of course, we can't leave a classic ghost story without some sort of ghostly bride.
Of course.
Midwestern Ghost and Haunting said that there may be a ghost of a headless bride that roams the island. According to legend, her husband found out that she was cheating on him on their wedding day and chopped her head off with an axe. Now she roams the island looking for her missing head.
Wow.
One of the most wild of experiences stories that I read was from someone who was visiting Minnesota in about 2014-15. A friend of theirs had grown up on Grey Cloud, and his parents still lived on the island. While his parents were out of town, Joey, fake name.
Yeah. I assume if he wants to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the friend's name.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, fake because anonymous.
Yeah. Although this website didn't even have like anonymous unknown. It just was like headlines for the whatever the comments were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Took a group of them around town sharing the haunted history of the town. This is what they said they encountered while exploring. Small disclaimer. This story starts out like all of the other haunted tales, but then it kind of takes a little bit of a left turn, or a major one. And after a while, you don't really know how it's gonna end.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
All right. The first thing he did when we entered through the island gates was drive us by what was explained to us as an old schoolhouse and warn us that it is now a known KKK meeting place and that they were very protective of their privacy and are known to chase people away with guns.
Okay.
This is like one of the only places I ever saw this. Mm-hmm. But I did see other people be like, that's not true. There's not like the girl in the video said something about a cult.
Oh. Wow.
Some people are saying it's like some sort of secret religious group. They're saying it's the KKK.
Right.
I don't think.
Robes.
Yeah.
Exclusive. Hate. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
It had just gotten dark when another friend of ours, we'll call Matt. That's what it said. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
Begged to let him check it out, so we parked about 200 feet away. The school looked empty and seemed unoccupied. We all got out and walked across the huge lawn toward the building. We could hear dogs barking and growling from the wooded area, but saw none. Later, Joey claimed dog noises were a frequent paranormal event in that exact same area. Right as we reached the building to look inside the windows, a silhouette of a large man appeared in the window in front of us.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. As if he had been on the floor, but stood up to look outside.
Oh, no. No. Oh, I really don't like that. That hit something weird inside of me. I don't like that at all.
I almost like when I was writing this up and like reading this, I was like, I need like a flashlight to like get under. Like, this is exactly like a campfire ghost story.
Oh, absolutely.
We all screamed and ran as fast as we could back to the car and took off. Me not daring to look back. After this, my friend took us to a very old cemetery. We had to walk down a fairly long trail / dirt road to come upon a gated off cemetery. Along the way, we heard beating drums coming from multiple directions deep in the adjacent woods that would start and stop without any rhythm, it seemed. Walking through the cemetery, my friend told us of an unknown witch who was buried there. And when we found her gravesite, he pointed out how he knew which one was hers, the fact that there was grass covering every inch of the grounds except for the top of her grave.
Ew.
Apparently, no grass has ever been able to grow above her. I remember her name was Amelia. Matt tried to provoke her to come out by laying down, rolling on, and then even spitting on her gravesite.
Don't do that.
While taunting her.
No.
And then the person said, let me say right here, I was extremely against that behavior, and I did voice my opinion a few times.
Okay.
A week later, he told me he had been alone in his room chilling on his bed when his hand was suddenly tugged. He claims that every second that it was tugged, Amelia came straight to his mind and he felt her presence. A week after that, Amelia came through to us via a Ouija board.
These people are stupid.
I was listening to a podcast, and this is what I wanted to remember to tell you when we were recording Alaska, but I forgot.
Okay.
One of the ladies who was on there was her, I think it's either her grandfather or great-grandfather made it.
Oh!
Like invented it.
Right.
Yeah.
Maryland.
What?
They lived in Maryland.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's where it was like made.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. She named herself and answered GC, Grey Cloud.
Oh.
Yeah. When asked where she was buried, made it clear she wanted Matt. When we asked why, she replied with the words lay and spit.
Oh!
She clearly spelled out a few times how she wanted Matt. I can't remember what else was asked or answered, but I do remember thinking that each response we received amazed me. Side note, years later, when I reached out to Matt on Facebook to say hello, he told me that ever since the Ouija night, his life had been a series of bad luck, losses, depression, and chaos, and is convinced he was cursed by Amelia.
Well, yeah, because you disrespected her.
Right. Later in the evening, our group of friends split into 2 groups. My group went to the garage to play a Ouija. He's like, it was like a game.
Right. Well,
Ouija board.
It is a game.
True.
And it's sold to it's like 10 and up.
Yeah.
So you can be 10 to summon a demon?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they are demons. And the others went outside to sit around the bonfire. While using the board, a woman came through who told us that she had lived there and said that she had died by axe and water. When we finished, we went to join Joey and friends outside. We all genuinely freaked out when Joey started telling us how a woman used to live there and was murdered and found in the river behind her house. Since leaving Minnesota, I have looked up Gray Cloud on the internet and am shocked at how many other people have had the exact same experiences. There's no doubt in my mind the island is a hotspot for spirits. And honestly, I urge anyone thinking about visiting to use extreme caution along with common sense, but especially be respectful.
Yeah.
There is life after death. Don't be the next asshole who gets cursed or arrested for trespassing.
Yeah.
He didn't say that part. I added that in. So now these next few comments are from locals or residences.
Oh.
So
did you just say residences?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
residents. Residences are like their houses. Like there's a residence and a resident.
Oh. Well, whatever.
Residence I.
That would be easier. Although you notice that like no one ever calls, if it's not added with an S, no one's ever calls it like fungi.
Oh, I was watching this thing about blue ring octopi the other day, and the guy kept saying like octopuses.
Right.
And I was like,
because no one says the octopi or the fungi or the, like, instead of having 1 dice, you have 2 die.
Right.
Anyway, the people that live there.
Yes.
One unknown person who had grew up in the area didn't have a haunted experience, but they did feel the heaviness and unease on the island from the time. They would go to the island to see friends they went to school with and to go fishing. And they said, quote, heard all the stories. The only thing I experienced was a heaviness in the air when a friend or a friend's relative passed on and the worship or home visited after services was on Gray Cloud Island. A different kind of heaviness in the air as opposed to general heaviness at the death of a friend or a friend's family member. Mm-hmm. Like the island itself was mourning. It was not scary, but respectful and true sorrow. Gray Cloud Island is a beautiful place and a kid's wonderland for exploration. It hurts me that so many people trespass for supposed thrill. Glad my friends on Gray Cloud Island keep the looky-loos at bay. Blessed be.
I like how they said the whole island was mourning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was sweet.
But blessed be scares me and reminds me of Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, that was a little odd at the end.
Yeah.
Another commented saying that they had lived there the whole life or near it, and all the people above them in the comments were nuts. One person said that the white truck was just the locals getting off of work, and some believed that it might have been locals driving ghost hunters and trespassers off the island.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. One person commented saying that people need to keep out and even had the cemetery had been vandalized.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were like, stop.
See, that's not cool.
Right. Some of the locals disagreed with each other right on the blog comments. This exchange was posted on a comment from someone who had a house on the island and was a bit skeptical about the stories, except for the white truck story.
Okay.
They said that the white truck usually appears in the same area each time it's seen.
Oh, interesting.
So anonymous person number 1 commented on July 15th, 2013 at 9:15 p.m. and said, this whole thing is a classic internet hoax. I have lived there for 8 years, and besides hearing about teen ghost hunters, I have never seen signs of supernatural behavior, nor have I talked with anyone who has. It is pure BS. Anonymous person 2 said to person 1 on November 8th, 2013 at 4:34 p.m. I am 41 years old. I remember hearing about this as a kid, living on the other side of the Mississippi River. That was 27 years ago, hardly before coming a, quote, classic internet hoax. Anonymous person number 3 was on the same side as anonymous person number 1.
Uh-huh.
And on June 6, 2017 at 1:01 a.m. said, I lived in the area since 1986, and I used to drive around the island smoking weed and never saw none of that shit. I've fished at the Steel Bridge many, many nights. One person who grew up there said that they walked through the cemetery at night and nothing happened to them. Another person shared how they had grown up on the island their whole life. The person and their siblings would go gallivanting around town day and night and never experienced anything spooky. Two other locals commented on this comment, and their stories are not ghostly related, but they're kind of like darker. So
Okay.
that's why I included them. So Anonymous Person 1 on February 21st, 2014 said, I too grew up there and saw and heard many crazy things. I was shot there, but lived because of odd circumstances, seen rabies dogs, and had a friend's mom die in her driveway. And a few years later, a small plane crashed in that yard. Plenty of weird stuff go on there.
A backup. I would like to hear more about being shot and living under like bizarre circumstances.
Yeah.
What?
Right? That's why I was like, it's a little darker.
Oh my God.
So, shot, lived, seen rabies dogs.
Even though it would be
died.
like rabid dogs.
Right.
Rabies dogs.
Yeah. Anonymous number 2 on June 7th, 2017 said, I only heard the stories. My husband grew up in SPP, which I think is St. Paul Park. St. Paul Park.
Oh, SPP.
Yeah. SPP.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking SSP, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
I think because I started to say SS.
Oh.
Because I that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
He talks about how he and his buddies would drive around Great Cloud Island smoking weed, getting high, so they would freak each other out, and they called it going on a cloudy.
Oh, that's cute.
I hear people still say it. It is all interesting. I also remember the woman getting hit by a snowplower in her driveway. My daughter went to school with her son. Sad story. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the spirits, though. While some residents or locals, did I say that right?
Yeah, residents or locals.
What did I say last time?
Residences.
Oh, so many instances.
So many instances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one ent.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are trying to debunk the urban legends that bring out outsiders to the island. Some have had a different experience that may just confirm that not everything about this myth is false. Or some people were on the fence, but weren't totally on board to say that Great Cloud was haunted by spirits. Kelly D84 said, I admit to great curiosity about Great Cloud Island and all of the stories and truth. As for the descendants of Great Cloud, because some of those had commented on,
Right.
You probably saw nothing because of the fact that you are a descendant, your family. They belong there, so you do too. Your land, your family.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Outsiders, of course, would see and hear these things.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few comments that had been left on a couple of the blog posts I read saying that they were direct descendants of Great Cloud women or had Native American heritage ancestry. It was a mix on whether they had an experience, believed that an experience could occur, and or wanted to go back to the island so they could have an experience.
Right.
A user by the name of Woodcutter shared this story in June of 2017. Hey, I really think you've done a great job with this post. All makes sense.
So appreciative.
I am 60 years young and grew up in St. Paul Park. I roamed the backwaters of Great Cloud hunting and fishing. You would not believe the fishing and hunting that this area used to be great for. I am pretty sure it is not allowed anymore. We grew up hearing all the stories and were always told not to go at night because the Green Lantern would get you. I walked through the graveyard many times. When I was just a young boy, I spearfished on the river in the winter, and in the process, I would always go through the ice and have to walk 2 or 4 miles back to our house frozen to the bone. I always thought I was being guided every day when I hunted and went fishing. My father was killed when I was young, and this is how we got by. We always had pheasants and ducks to eat. My grandmother would give me a few shotgun shells at a time, and this is how we grew up. Thanks to the help of my guide, I never missed a shot and always had something to eat.
Aw, that's cute.
Right?
I like that.
Most locals who were non-believers were kind-hearted about it, some even hoping it to be true and wanting to have experiences with the spirits on the island. An unknown user said, quote, I have lived on the Mississippi for 40 plus years, always gazing out at the beautiful Great Cloud. Often wondered why this beautiful place has remained so obscure over all these years. Understand that those who live there and daily enjoy its wonders would like to keep it a secret. But then now that it has become part of our national park treasures, my hope is that many will become aware and able to enjoy. I love the history and mystic stories and must admit being visited by its spirits who are all friendly. My hope is Cottage Grove, St. Paul Park, and Newport join collectively to acknowledge, preserve, and promote this very special place.
Oh,
TD. I don't know what that means.
probably the initials.
Probably. But it was anonymous, so.
Yeah.
So no matter what you believe, Grey Cloud is a place with a lot of rich history that dates back before European settlers had even come to this land. Accounts of the Native American mounds were witnessed by a Spanish explorer all the way back in the 1500s. Stories like that are the ones that need to be preserved and retold. The last comment I want to share is one I felt would be helpful with making your final decision on the validity of this spooky island.
Okay.
This person left a comment on the Minnesooota haunted house in November of 2020. I am 29 years old and have been here my entire life. The ghost truck is guys getting off work from the gravel pit. All drive white work trucks. There is no KKK camp at all. It is a church camp. The cemetery is not haunted. I have walked through it at night alone many times. The green lantern is the bayous reflecting off the river or barge lights. Sorry. There are more false rumors I don't care to explain. But I do know one thing about this island is true. Because I've seen it myself. And if you want to know, text me at, and this number was on the internet, so I don't feel bad saying it, 763-401-3375. If you're in the area, I will show you. Do you dare make the call?
Ooh.
And that is Grey Cloud Island.
Would you make the call if you're in the area?
No.
Oh my God, that sounds so creepy.
I'm not even going to make the call now. It's probably a fake number. No one will put their number on the fucking internet like that.
You think people are smart on the internet?
I guess not, but
no.
I'm like, it's got to be one of those, like, when you could give them a fake number.
Yeah.
Rejection hotline.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
That's what I feel like it is.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah.
Well, if any of you call, let us know because I'm actually kind of curious.
Yeah, and especially because we got a lot of people in Minnesota.
We do. Minnesota people call.
If anyone's from Grey Cloud,
let us know.
Let us know.
I kind of like the one comment, though, where it was like people from Grey Cloud aren't going to have any of these experiences because the island like accepts you. But those who aren't from here, it's like the island trying to scare you away.
Right.
I like that one. That's what I'm going to choose to believe.
Yes, I agree.
I really liked how you set it up.
Thank you.
With like the stories and all the comments like fitting into the story.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you. I, went a different route instead of going through the whole story and then the comments.
Yeah.
I figured it would sound nicer.
I liked it.
Oh, and I had some newspaper clippings because it was all like, again, really dark shit that it's like one person's boat capsized and they drowned. A little boy had gotten shot, I think.
Oh my gosh. Like locals?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was all in the newspapers and I was like, oh, okay, if I can't find a bunch, I can then, throw in these stories too. But I found a bunch.
Yeah, apparently.
So, yeah.
Oh.
I always find the blogs with the comments.
Yeah, you do.
Fucking love those.
I know. Because it's just like unfiltered people are like, listen to my story.
They could be all complete bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
It could be the person who wrote the blog just commenting at random times.
Oh, it could easily be.
But
especially
it makes
be anonymous.
Right. There was 2 people on that entire thread who had their username. Oh. Everybody else was anonymous and unknown.
Huh. Well, good story.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Lauren, what you talking about, Willie? You think people know by now that I do that
every time?
Every time.
All right. So the place that I'm going to talk about, well, where this thing happens, it's located in a county that I think you're going to love the name of. Ottertail.
What?
Isn't that cute?
That is so cute.
It's so cute. All right, so I'm going to be talking about the Hairy Man of Vergas Trail.
Oh.
So located in Ottertail County is the small town of Vergas.
I wonder if my dad's been there.
To Ottertail?
Yeah, maybe he was mistaken for the Hairy Man.
He easily could have been.
He's a hairy dude.
He is a hairy dude. So this town is so small that it has a population of just over 300 residents. So kind of like your place. I know.
Why does this keep...
I don't know. When you said it and I had Ottertail, I was like, wow.
The parallels, man.
I know.
There's always something. That's weird.
I know.
Aww.
Same wavelength. So also located in this small town is the Hairy Man legend. The legend has been around for nearly 6 decades, starting in the 60s. Doesn't that sound awful that 60s was 6 decades ago?
I mean, my mom and dad...
it just doesn't sound, it sounds like the 60s should have been 40 years ago.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we're still, for some reason, we can't get past the year 2000.
Right. Like the 90s was just 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So these stories started in the 60s, then they peaked in the 70s and slowly started to peter out in the 80s, but it's still quite prevalent.
What doesn't feel right is to say that 2000 was 23 years ago.
No.
Like that's
like kids born in 2000 can drink.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound right.
My kids asked if I was born in the 1900s.
That's when you just like spray them with a water bottle and be like, stop that.
I mean, they technically were born when we were in college.
That's disgusting. So, back to something else scary. So, the hairy man of Vergas Trail is described as being tall, like 8 feet tall, and weighing close to 300 pounds. Oh, so different from your dad. He is said to have long, straggly hair, a musty smell, and is always barefoot. He has a reputation for being unnaturally aggressive. Oh. He's known to chase people and roar. When an animal dies in the area, the hairy man is often blamed, because obviously. Some people claim that the hairy man is nothing more than a legend, passed down from one generation to the next. Others claim that he is a wild animal who roams the woods, a close relative, maybe even the same family as Bigfoot.
I was just about to ask.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is a little more specific of a Bigfoot.
Right. Like a close cousin.
Yeah. That weird second cousin you have.
Yeah.
I love my second cousins, but they're not weird. Then there are others who claim that this hairy man is no monster at all, but rather an old hermit who lives tucked away in the woods and only appears when people come onto his property.
You know, if I was going to choose to be a hermit and be secluded from society, I would definitely instigate a legend about me being a witch.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%.
Come into town once or something with like the crazy hair, all the rings. You already have the rings down. You're good.
Yep.
I have the crazy hair. We're
Wanda small, medium, at large. I was trained for this.
There you go. It's been your calling.
It has been.
So the story of the hermit centers around a man who was exiled from his family when he was just a boy. He ended up living and somehow surviving in the forest on the land that his family owned. But over time, the family sold the land, but because he was exiled, he never was made aware of this.
Oh.
He still thought that this land belonged to his family, so he would get aggressive with anyone who was on his property.
Ooh.
The story continues that the man lived underneath the porch of an old homestead on the property. I don't know why not in, but on, under,
Yeah, whatever.
So now he just lives off the land. He's described as having long, straggly hair, never showering, and always wearing furs.
So he himself may not be furry.
Right. It's just the furs.
The furs.
Another tale about who this thing is sort of mixes the hermit story and the hairy man legend, saying that the creature lived in old man Bunley's shack, which is currently located on the Vargas Trails. So who is Bunley?
Yes.
I will tell you.
My next question.
Well, he's an old farmer who lived in the shack. It makes sense, I promise. So the shack was built partially into a hill. Bunley passed away in the 40s or 50s, and after his death, his shack burned down. It is believed that the beast lives in the remnants of the burned down shack.
So it's kind of like the Hobbit.
Yeah, actually, with the big feet and everything. The shack is located down a long, creepy road and is only 8 miles from where the hairy man has been sighted and encountered. So there have, of course, been encounters with the hairy man.
I would hope so.
The earliest reported sighting...
This would be a very short story.
The end. The earliest reported sightings back in 1966 comes from a man named Ken Zitzow.
What?
Zitzow said he had been... Oh, God. Okay, Zitzow said he had been driving through the woods one night down what is known as the Lost Highway, County Road 130, with his brother and his brother's girlfriend.
It's not that lost if you know what the highway is.
They also said his brother's name. Like, it really wanted me to know that his brother's name was Dwayne.
They say Dwayne a lot?
Yes, and I didn't add it in here, but I remember it because I read it so many damn times. So when he returned home that night, people started to notice that Zitzow had dents all over the hood of his car. When asked about it, he claimed that the hairy man had jumped from the woods right in front of his vehicle, pounded on the car's hood, then fled back into the woods. Zitzow also claimed that after this experience, he and his brother tracked the animal and found its den. This den was an abandoned shack that contained an old mattress and was thick with wild animal smell. He then decided to burn it to the ground. That, my friends, is called arson.
That is fucking rude.
And illegal. So
That was someone's house.
So remember how I said it was believed that the creature lives in the remnants of a shack that burned down after the owner passed away?
Burned down someone's house.
Yeah, so I wonder if these are the guys, like this is the shack that they burned, if this was like old man Bunley's, if they're somehow connected.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought this was a second burning down. I was like, damn, this guy
no luck.
Keeps getting his house caught on fire. Needs to be more careful.
In 1967, Dave Brunn said that he got an up-close look at this creature when it jumped on the hood of his car. Brunn said that a few swerves knocked it off.
Huh.
And though there were at least 2 documented experiences before this one, Cheryl Hansen's encounter is probably one of the most well-known and most popular. Cheryl's experience happened when she was a 12-year-old kid back in 1972. Cheryl was with her...
I'm really hoping you'd say 1969.
No. No. Never. Cheryl was with her cousin Jolene off of County Road 130.
Jolene.
But this is Jolene. So they had this, they were off of County Road 130 where Zitzau's experience happened. She said, quote, Zitzau. She said, quote, we were snowmobiling around and around this old cabin we found. And
snow.
Oh my God. And all of a sudden, a beast-like creature popped out of the cabin holding a large stick. It had very broad shoulders, and I was trying to rationalize what it was, but what really stood out to me is it was barefoot in the snow.
Yeah, that would be definitely...
Not the stick, not the shed, the barefoot.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of like ice fishing in Minnesota. So don't they have like shacks?
On lakes?
Yeah.
We're not on a lake.
I feel like seeing a shack in the forests of Minnesota doesn't seem so far-fetched.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. So she said that whatever this creature was, she knew it wasn't human. She said that her and her cousin raced home and tried to tell her family, but naturally, none of the adults believed the 2 kids. All grown up, Cheryl now happens to own the land where she saw the creature all those years ago. I still see it to this day. Can't drive out there at night alone. The family still has campfires out there, but none of us wander out into the woods alone. Said Cheryl. A longtime Burgess resident, Rob Arnett, also had a run-in with a powerful creature. He said he didn't know what it was, but something big and strong nearly shoved his 1973 Chevy Malibu into a ditch.
Damn.
It wasn't a hermit, Arnett said. That's it.
That's all he had to say.
That's all he had to say.
Nothing else. All right.
A sighting made by a man named Mike Quast when he was only 8 years old shaped his life. It was 1976, a nice Sunday afternoon, and Quast, 8 at the time, was on a Sunday drive with his family near Strawberry Lake. Doesn't that sound cute?
Yeah.
The area they were driving in was rural and wooded. This is when, about 100 yards up the road, Quast saw something that was about 6 to 7 feet tall and solid black. For a split second, he thought it was a burnt tree trunk until he saw this figure step away from the road on 2 legs and walk into the woods. And that was it for Quast. Since that moment and growing up, he has dedicated his life to searching for Bigfoot.
Oh, no.
He now lives in Moorhead and is one of the only dedicated Bigfoot hunters in the area.
Oh.
In 1989, just 3 years after graduating high school, he was out in the area looking for the hairy man, who he believes is a type of Bigfoot. During one trip to the woods, Quast found different tracks in the Vergas Trails area, tracks that he knew weren't common in this area, so he made casts of those tracks and still have those in his Moorhead apartment. The casts range in size from 12 up to 20 feet.
Whoa!
The difference in foot size led him to believe that there may not be only one Bigfoot or hairy man living in the area, but a whole family.
Uh-huh. A hairy family.
A hairy family. But he says that sightings have dropped off since the 80s, so he is starting to believe that whatever was out there isn't there anymore. Not necessarily that it's dead, but maybe that it's just moved locations. But that's also not to say that there aren't other Bigfoot-esque creatures. Quast said that one night he was in the woods of Monoman, looking into some strange footprints when he heard what he described as a whooping
whoop, whoop.
with a voice like a police siren.
Whoop, whoop. Maybe
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
He said it sounded like it came from a big set of lungs, but not like a human, more like a monster.
Whoop!
I needed your face with that. Oh my God.
Whoop too hard.
I even messed with the microphone. So next on his list, Quast hopes to investigate the woods in Moose Lake, 45 miles south of Duluth, a location where some of the most recent sightings of a Bigfoot hairy man have been reported. So while no true real evidence has been found to suggest that hairy man is a beast roaming around Minnesota, there have been some weird finds. Kim Doyle, the owner of Vergus 66 gas station, had quite an interesting day when a lifetime resident came into her store with a shocking artifact. A humanoid skull of unknown origin.
Oh.
There was no way to know and no clear signs to tell if the skull belonged to a human, an animal, or a strange combination of the two. That resident, who preferred to be anonymous, many anonymous people.
Minnesota. Come on, you guys keep it close to the vest.
I know. He was described as being a quiet and respectable man. He said that he had gotten the skull from one of the oldest families in Vergus who had found it south of the town in an area known as Klondike. What would you do for Klondike bar?
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Where a majority of these sightings have occurred. The family had owned the skull for a number of years, and at this point, our anonymous resident had owned it for 5 to 6 years. What this means is, it is an old skull.
Wait. Hold on. So they were just hanging on to it.
Police were never involved. Just hanging on to this weird humanoid skull. Because I'm not saying human skull.
No,
a humanoid
right,
skull.
and so then hang on to it.
And then just give it to someone else.
Family member, before I die, here, you now take the skull.
I don't even think it was a family member. I just think it was like a person they knew.
Oh, and okay, so here, I want you to have this.
I like how you go family member to this side, and then you're like, no, other side.
Okay,
here to you.
So here you go. You can have this head.
Yeah.
Here's a head of something.
Right. It's like how we say, like, you know how random, like, murderers will find other murderers and they become friends and they murder together? It's like, how do you find other people who want a human skull? Humanoid skull.
You know, it's still weird, though, that then that person gave it to them and then they held on to it for a few years and then said something.
Right. Like, gave it to Kim, this, like, gas station owner.
Right. Like, walk it. Here you go. You can now have the head.
Right. Right. Like, after all these years. So the resident thought it could potentially be an offspring of the hairy man. Doyle went on to describe this thing that she was shown. She said it had humanoid features like eye sockets, teeth, 3 to 4 vertebrae that were still intact, but it also had many features that weren't humanoid or related to a primate. Vegetation was found to be stuck to the back of the head.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Which may indicate that this skull was unearthed from a swampy area where it probably sat for some time.
This is coming from a gas station attendant?
Well, she saw the vegetation on the back of its head.
Vegetation?
Yeah, that's what it says, vegetation.
Human-like. How do we know? She's not an anthropologist.
I'm sure you can see if it's a plant.
No, I'm talking about the bone structure.
No, she just said it looked like it had human features. She was like, oh, there's some eye sockets, there's some teeth.
You're making it sound like she's like...
No, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Kim Gerhard is a national renowned cryptozoologist.
That is not an anthropologist.
No, it's not, but it's a cryptozoologist.
Yes.
He took a look at the skull and was able to say that there are several features of the skull that are missing or in the wrong place for him to say the skull belonged to a humanoid creature.
Those guys are always on unexplained.
Oh, yeah. He said, quote, what I noticed right off the bat was the unnatural features the skull had, or at least 10 to 12 noticeable characteristics that were missing for a hominid, defined as being part of the human family. The face of the skull does resemble human, but there isn't a cavity large enough to hold a large brain. The eye sockets do seem smaller compared to a hominid, and there isn't a nasal cavity bone. Even with his vast knowledge, Gerhard said he is unable to determine if the skull is real or just a well-made fake. Though I said that sightings have decreased since the 80s, there have still been some sightings of the hairy man. There have been a total of 73 Bigfoot or hairy man sightings in Minnesota, with the most recent having been reported in April of 2018.
Wow.
So not that long ago.
No.
Did I find that sighting? No. No reports of it. Just told me about it. In 2012, Sci-Fi's Haunted Highways featured the legend.
You got on the website.
Maybe.
You should have done that.
So in 2012, Sci-Fi's Haunted Highways featured the legend on an episode. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch the episode.
No.
It wasn't available anywhere for me to watch.
Damn.
But at the end, the two... Damn.
Damn.
But at the end, the two investigators were still unable to confirm if the beast was real or not. They didn't find any, like, solid evidence to say one way or the other, so they're still unsure if it's real or not. So I guess that's good. On June 5th, 2019, the FBI Records Vault tweeted a single word, Bigfoot.
What?
That had a link that opened up a plethora of documents from their Bigfoot file.
Shut up.
Again, wasn't able to find that, but this was opened in response to a request made back in August of 1976 by Peter C. Bryan. Bryn.
Wow.
Byron.
Assholes.
Yeah, it took so freaking long.
God.
So this Peter guy was the then director of the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition in Oregon. The request came because the year before, in 1975, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Washington Environment Atlas, talked about an alleged FBI analysis of Bigfoot or Sasquatch tissues.
What?
Peter made this request for confirmation for that analysis. During this whole exchange between him and the FBI, he found out that the FBI had not analyzed the sample of Bigfoot that they had, so he sent the FBI a sample he believed belonged to Bigfoot that he had collected.
Oh.
The FBI analyzed his sample and concluded that his samples belonged to something from the deer family.
Huh.
All of these documents were released in that tweet. But nothing more has come from this. Like, literally, couldn't find anything else.
Well, that's annoying.
I know, and I wanted to click on the tweet, but then I was like, here's a random link in this random article. Maybe best to not.
There you go.
Vergas takes their hairy man very seriously.
Of course. As one should.
As one should. The Vergas Long Lake Trail Committee started a I Outran the Hairy Man 5K that pays homage to this local legend.
You know, your outran was a lot easier to understand than my outran because my outran was 2 words.
Yeah, this one's one. The Outran.
Right. So that's why I was confused.
I was confused too. And then it clicked for us at the exact same time. So this race starts just before dark, and the trail goes through the Klondike Woods where most of the hairy man sightings have occurred. But this isn't just a fun run. People are planted in the woods whose job
no
it
run
is
a fun run.
What?
No run is a fun run.
Except the Michael Scott Fun Run for the Cure. Only like 5 people will get it. Anyway, so people are planted in the woods whose job it is to scream and scare the runners as they run through these woods at dusk.
No. Oh my God.
Your heart's already beaten.
I
get another scary thing.
I panic just at the notion that something may startle me.
I'm not going to lie though. I actually think this would be so fun. Because I do run. Not very great at it, but I do run. And I love being scared. So I just think this would be really fun. I know you wouldn't. You could be at the annual Hairy Man Festival waiting for me. So this festival takes
lights.
Yeah. This festival takes place in Vergas in October. They have different activities for the whole family, food, drinks, music, vendors.
My scene.
It just sounds really cute.
A jolly good time.
But they also have the hairiest contest.
Ew.
Not sure what this all includes, but sounds like a blast nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that is the very short but very interesting story of the hairy man of Minnesota.
It's like the Bunny Man.
Kind of.
Like a large animal.
Yeah. My coworker actually just went to Bunny Man Brewing.
So my kids...
Did they know about Bunny Man?
3rd graders. We were sitting at my table doing a small group and we chit chat.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how it got brought up, but one of them started talking about Bunny Man Bridge. She just was mentioning things. I was like, oh yeah, that's in Fairfax. It's always shocking when I know the same information they do, because apparently I can only know ancient information.
Right, because you're ancient.
Could not possibly understand
modern.
Yes. At all. Like the songs that they're singing too. I'm like, that's not how that goes.
Do you want to see the music video?
Right. And they were like, what you? I'm like, yeah. They're like, wait, what is it? And so then I was like, fuck, I wasn't expecting questions. I was like, I don't know. It's like a man who's large, I guess, like a large bunny man.
How do I make this a PG version of the story?
And I was like, I don't remember what Lauren told me.
This is the 2nd time you've heard me talk about Bunny Man Bridge. One time on the podcast when you were listening, and one time me telling you, and you still don't remember. What friend?
Oh, hey, but you want to hear something else that's kind of cute?
Do I?
Oh, yes, you do. It's about you and I.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So when I was on our spreadsheet picking a thing for this episode,
yeah,
I was scrolling through and I saw this one place and I was like, ooh, this sounds really cool. And I was like, this sounds really cool. Let me make sure they haven't done it already. Pop back over to the other one. And sure enough, I was like, I knew it. I knew she would have done this.
Anoka.
Yes.
Yeah, the Halloween town.
I was like, oh my God, the Halloween town. This is so fun. Lauren will love this. And I'm like, I bet she already fucking did it. Yep. And I was like, ha ha. I saw it and I scrolled up to make sure it was your name. I was like, yes, I knew it.
Yep. I thought that was cool.
Yes.
Anoka was cool.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, so I guess Minnesota's just kind of a haunted place.
Sounds a little bit, which, I feel like when I think Minnesota, I think, typically really nice people.
Minnesooota. That's Midwestern hospitality.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you see the chef in the States?
I'm sorry?
Minnesota's its hat.
Oh, I've heard this, yes.
Yeah, there's the hat. Iowa's the face.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri is the body.
Yep.
Arkansas is the pants. Louisiana is the shoes. Look at my geography. This is incredible.
That is incredible.
Tennessee is the plate, and Kentucky is the Kentucky Fried Chicken on top. Joe's brother is graduating from the military, and his thing is in San Antonio, Texas. And so we were like, oh, we can fly. Flights are super expensive. But we were like, oh, what if we drove? Just to see how long it would take. Just to see.
Yeah.
Just to see. Joe was like, well, we did 18 hours. I said, Joe, this is going to be way longer.
Yeah.
19, or no, just kidding. It said 1 day, 29 minutes. And I was like, Joseph, that's 24 hours.
San Antonio is at the bottom of Texas.
Yeah. Well, Joe's like, well, on our way back from like Arkansas, it took us 24 hours. I said, because we had a car issue and we had to stop.
Right.
We weren't driving for 24 hours straight.
Right.
Well, we were in a car for 24 hours straight, but
Yes.
I don't know what we're doing. And then me and his Nana just decided we're just going to take a trip, the two of us, to Texas anyways.
I really want to go to Austin.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. One of them has that bat bridge. I talked about it in one of our Texas episodes. But it's a bridge where it's like a really popular attraction. And it's a bridge where there's just tons and tons and tons of bats that all hang out under here. No, but it's like a cool thing.
That does not sound fun.
Oh, that sounds cool to me.
Well, you can go get bitten by a bat and turn into a vampire.
Bit by a bat.
And
turning into. Okay, would you rather turn into a vampire or a werewolf?
A vampire?
Yeah, me too.
I want to be a dog.
But you would never be able to be in the sun again.
Ooh.
Right. And I love the sun. Yeah, that would not be good for you.
A friend of ours, I sent her something about a sleeping mask because every time she comes to visit, she always has her sleeping mask. And I'm like, and here I am, and I got 2 night lights to add light to my apartment at night.
I love where you put the nightlight down in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I put that there, and then I put one underneath the shelf for the living room.
Where?
It'll be dark enough that when we walk out, you'll see it.
Oh, in your house?
Yes.
Oh, I meant the one you put in my house, the nightlight you put in the kitchen in my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I forgot that I did that because I forgot to move it back.
No, I like it there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like it there.
I was afraid that if I didn't put it there and I, for some reason, had to get up to pee, I would die.
No, totally valid.
So.
No, I really do like it there.
Yeah. I turned on all of your lamps.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I turned on the lamp, and then I turned on the lights, and then I turned on the lights on the railings.
Oh, yeah.
Turned them all on. I was like, this is so fun.
I know. We have so many. Well, I'm like very big about like my lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like it has to be like the soft, warm lighting.
Yes.
I can't do the harsh lights.
No.
When people turn on like overhead lights in their room and just chill or in a house, I'm like, I don't like this.
Can't do it. That doesn't have a light.
I like how we both look up at your light.
That I turn on, but only when I'm.
Yeah.
Right. But out there, I have another one of those.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
No.
I use the big lamp. A big lamp big lamp person.
Yeah.
Fridays, my kids know. Lamp day.
Oh, I love that.
Miss, no, is it lamp day? I'm like, yeah, that's why it's fucking dark.
That's cute.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. This is a little rambly episode, but that's okay.
You know what? It's Lauren's fault because she texted me and said, I'm going to need you to talk.
Because my episode was a little short, but that's okay.
And so I said, ask and you shall receive.
She was like, the sky's the limit. Well, like us on all the things, rate us on all the things. We're still doing the thing on iTunes where if you give us a 5-star rating, you're going to be entered into a drawing.
Or even Spotify.
No, well, we can't see Spotify. Who has rated that?
Well, I think,
give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, but actually give us like a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. We'll put your name into a drawing along with the people who have also already commented. And then we'll do a drawing sometime soon to win cool stuff. Because like we said, we have a lot of really cool stuff coming up within the next month. So you could win some of that cool stuff. So thank you for listening. So stay scary.
Stay safe.